I think it's also a collective effort to just reduce transmission across the U.S.-Canada border. So I think it was done to try and support some of those communities, but I do think that all of this needs to be re-examined as we are doing with all of the border measures moving ahead.
That's Canada's top doctor today signaling that there could soon be a shift in COVID-19 testing protocols at the border. No changes, of course, will be made in time for Monday. That's when the U.S. finally reopens its land border to inoculated Canadians. But Dr. Theresa Tam says PCR testing rules need to be re-examined. Joining us live tonight are two municipal leaders who I know are eager to say goodbye to PCR tests at the border. We've got the Mayor of Niagara Falls, Ontario, Jim Diodati, and the Mayor of Niagara Falls, New York, Mayor Robert Restaino. Thanks to both of you for making time for us tonight. Mayor Restaino, let's start with you. The Canadians, they are coming on Monday. Are you ready for them?
I can't wait. I have to tell you, the thing that I know that it's been a while to get into the mix, and certainly we appreciate the fact that the Canadian government had opened the border sometime before us, and we were pretty frustrated here in the States over the fact that we couldn't get it together. Now that we have the border open, what I'm hoping for is some symmetry in the way in which we can have our visitors go back and forth. I know that there was good reason for wanting to have that testing and those other conditions as Americans went into Canada. But I think we've reached a point now where, if I'm not mistaken, there's nearly 70% Americans with one dose, a little close to 60% or so that are fully vaccinated. And I know the Canadian population is a little bit higher, but we're at a point now where, again, as I've been saying since the beginning of this, if we're going to incentivize vaccinations, let's do it.
What would it mean to you, Mayor, to have the PCR test removed for Canadians coming back here, Mayor Diodati? Why is that important?
Well, it's huge. You know, the part that Mayor Restaino and I understand well, being from a border town, we see it as one city divided by a border. And a lot of us have family on both sides, friends on both sides. It's like kind of eliminating half of the city that you live in right now, saying you can't go there anymore, not for the next 2 years. It's changed and disrupted a way of life. People have missed funerals, weddings, all sorts of important things. And as well, a lot of us like to go to the Buffalo Bills games to watch Josh Allen. We like to go to the Sabres games. We like to go back and forth to shop, to eat, to visit. And we've been completely disrupted. And right now, if we've got to spend money on an expensive PCR test when we're fully vaccinated, we already know from this summer, the Americans have not returned. They'd rather not. And people are often like water. They take the path of least resistance. And many people have made the decision, we'll wait for the PCR test to be removed like they've done in Europe and other places around the world. And as Mayor Restaino says, you know, if vaccination is the panacea and we've got great vaccination rates and we've got low COVID rates, what are we waiting for?
Let's expand on that, Mayor Diodati. You say the Americans have not come back. What kind of a decline have you seen, let's say, since the border opened on our side versus years past? Give us a snapshot of the numbers, how busy or not busy Niagara Falls, Ontario is.
Well, it's pretty safe to say the Americans have not returned. Typically, we're the #1 leisure destination in Canada. 14 million people come here. Typically, 25% are American, and they represent 50% of the revenue. There are a handful of American plates here. Beatrice, when we were kids, we track how many plates from different states and provinces we could see in a drive with our parents. We don't do that now because there's only a handful. And I can tell you, speaking with all of our tourist operators, they said the Americans have chosen not to return. We've got 40,000 people that count on tourism to feed their families. We need our American friends to come back and visit once again.
There's no question the PCR test exponentially more expensive than the rapid antigen test, something I can take and jump on a flight to New York and it'll only cost me some $35. You don't even need that to cross the land border. Mayor Restaino, what is it going to mean to you to see Canadians coming to spend their money? And are you confident they will still come, knowing that they've essentially only got 72 hours and then they've got to come back if they want to make sure the PCR test they took in Canada is still valid?
Well, you know, it's the holiday season, and this couldn't happen at a better time as far as the local economy is concerned. So I do believe that we'll see traffic, although I am, as Mayor Diodati said, I am particularly concerned that, much like the way Americans have avoided making that trip into Canada, although when it first opened, many landowners and many folks who hadn't seen their properties in a while made the trip so they took that investment and made the trip, but they haven't gone back since. And I'm concerned that if we're going to incentivize the travel into the States, we need to free that up for everyone, because the more folks that can come this way and travel back and forth with freedom, the better. I know that our retailers and our restaurants, they're eager to see our Canadian friends and family and neighbors back again.
You heard from Canada's top doctor before we started this conversation saying she actually supports these PCR rules being revisited. And essentially the clock is ticking. Canada's got to make the decision before November 21st, I should say. That's when the previous rules are set to expire. Mayor Restaino, are you hopeful that they can be re-examined in time?
Well, I'm hoping. I had, just before this call with you, I received a notice on my phone, and I thought for sure it was great news. It was simply the Bridge Commission sort of announcing some of their rules as we move toward November 8th. But hearing Dr. Tam, and I think that they're right. I think that if we really want to examine, and I understand why they were imposed in the beginning, but now we're at a different place, and I really believe that it's to everyone's best interest, including from a public health perspective, it's to everyone's best interest to sort of ease out, let folks travel back and forth. We're doing it as far as air travel is concerned. We're doing it in so many other ways. It just doesn't make any sense to have this inconsistency at the land border. You know, what's funny is that the land border itself has become this disjointed, disconnected set of rules. We've been watching this now move in painful slow motion for the last 6 months, and I'm just hoping that at some point, perhaps in the next 4, 5, 6, 7 days, we can get it right, get it together.
It's been disjointed on our end as well. Travelers who came back, or Canadians who came back home, didn't have to go to a quarantine hotel if they crossed over the land border, but they did if they were flying into our airport. Mayor Jim Diodati, one of the people who sits on the federal government's testing advisory panel said these PCR tests are part of the reason why Canada's and Ontario's infection rates have been so low. So what do you say from a public health standpoint? Are you concerned that if PCR tests go by the wayside, that we could see more COVID-19 on this side of the border?
No, I don't share that idea. I believe it's because Canadians have had a big uptake in the vaccination. There's been a major buy-in. People have treated the protocols seriously. I know in Niagara Falls, we created programs above and beyond, safetoplay.ca, safetostay.ca, where we brought in epidemiologists and we went a step further. So I don't believe it's because of the PCR tests. I believe it's because people believe the vaccine to be the panacea. Now, the frustrating thing, this is an anti-incentive now. People got incentivized so they can go out and live life once again. Now, by having one more encumbrance, one more step, one more piece of resistance, people are frustrated now, and they're starting to rebel and push back. And they're saying, listen, if you need to do a rapid test, by all means, that's fine as a next step. But this is over the top, and especially if we're fully vaccinated with low numbers, come on, we've done the right thing. Let's reward the people for doing the right thing.
And it might not be long now until we see that announcement. I've only got a few seconds left with both of you. Mayor Diodati, when you go head south, what are you most looking forward to doing?
Oh my gosh, going to see Mayor Restaino, giving him a great big hug, having some buffalo wings and pizza and a cold one, and that is the first thing I'm going to do.
Mayor Restaino, I have a feeling you're going to reciprocate this sentiment, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm out to meet him halfway on the bridge. We'll have a beer there and then go whichever way we have to go.
Well, let CP24 know when that happens, and we'll come down and we'll capture the moment and we'll all cheers together. How about that, Mayors?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Best of luck to you both for Monday. I hope it's a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beatrice.
Good night.